Hi, this video I'm walking through the Flexbox assignment on the vertical version. The last video was the horizontal version, and I recommend watching that one first, or at least the first part of it, because that's where I talk about um, the whole situation where you need to be aware of what about the container that holds the Flexbox item and how that container itself is the one you want to give the Flexbox property. So I'm going to walk through this one faster than I did the last one, assuming that you watched it or you understand that part. So let's go over to Atom. This is the code for this, and this is where we want to get to. So these items here, we're going to want to get them centered both horizontally and vertically. And same thing here, we're going to center them horizontally, but we want them to spread out vertically. So again, this is the code I gave you. You probably don't want this code here. You don't need to change it. Just easier if you write your own code and don't. I find it a lot easier to just separate my code from someone else's. I get a little lost. It gets a little messy sometimes when you don't. Just my recommendation. Okay, so the HTML is pretty much exactly the same. So first thing, what did we do last time? We needed to make the UL the container, the flex container, and we need to make sure that we grab the right one, because if we just use UL as a selector, then we're going to be applying it to both of them. We only want one at a time. So I'm going to start with the nav. I'm going to say nav.ul to say only the UL inside the nav. And here I'm going to say display flex. Actually, you know what? Last time I did this, and I'm going to do that again. There's a couple of things that I actually do want both of them to do, both of the ULs to do. So I'm going to just make a generic one and say both of them I want them to display flex. So this will apply to both. Save, go back and see what happened. And then reload. Okay, it did it. And it lined them all up together. Because that's the default for Flexbox. It's to, once you give something the power of flex, then just treats everything like an, just how you lined up in front of your classroom in kindergarten. Everything lines on up, and then you can tell it where to go from there. Let me real fast turn on the borders again so that we can get a view of what's going on. Okay, there we go. And then the first thing I'm going to do again is get rid of those icky, well, we could do that later. I'll worry about the bullet points later. Okay, so this is going in a row. That's not what we want. We want them to go on top of each other. So I'm going to go back here and talk about that part of it. So I'm going by this Flexbox guide. There's a link to it in the assignments page. And right now we're talking about the properties for the parent. And if you remember, the direction that it goes, the default is this one. It's from left to right. But we can switch that. We can make it start from right to left. We can make it go up, down, down, up. Looks like this is what we want right here. So that's called a column. So it's going to be flex direction, and then we're going to choose column right here, and it explains them down. Same as row, but top to bottom. So let's do that. But we didn't have to do that on the last one because the default was fine. So flex direction column. Save, reload. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. I'm going going to go get rid of those bullets right now because they're annoying me. Adam, this style, and then, okay, now those are gone. Okay, so we're in a column. Okay, awesome. Now I want to align them vertical. Center. I want them to just line up in the center. I guess I could do text align center, technically, because it's text. I'm not going to do that because just in case you want to do the same thing and it's not text. It might be an image or something else. Or whatever. Okay. So in the last one, we learned that when you want to move things right to left or up to down, there's two different terms for it. The first one, if you want to move things right, left on a horizontal axis, it's called justified content, and then you enter the value that you want there, flex start, center, space around. And then if you want to control how they're aligned vertically, you would use align items. But now that we have switched it to column instead of row, it actually, just think about it, it rotates the whole thing. So now justified content is going up and down, and align items is going right to left, left to right, right to left. So something to remember and get used to. So let's go over here. Wait, nope. So if we want them to be in the middle, is it going to be justified content or is it going to be align items? Let's go see. Sometimes you just have to tinker with it until you get used to it. Both of them are going to do that, so let's try this. If we say align items center, reload. There we go. So yeah, now align items is controlling the, the horizontal. That's just the way it is. Okay, now let's talk about spreading them out the way we want them to go. But we're gonna need now we're gonna need to work with them individually, because this one we want it to be in the center, and this one we want it to be spread out. Remember? So this is going to be in the center, even though it has space around it. That was just the padding. This is actually spread out no matter how high the window is. So I'm going to need to make some more specific selectors. So I'm starting with the nav, and I'm going to say nav space. So I'm just working with the list in the navigation the green area. So center. So now we would be, since we just did align items, now we're going to do justify content center. Now to center it actually on the vertical, save, go over here, reload, and it didn't work. And it probably actually did, but we don't see it because, again, like in the last video, this is the box that it's it is centering inside of, and that box is very short, and we don't want that. We want the box to be the same height as the green the navigation that it's in. That's the green one. So that's why we go over here and we say to the UL itself, and actually we can do this to both of them, right? So I'm going to say height 100%, because we want both of them to do the same thing, to be the same height as the other one. So save, jump over here, reload. Now, see that? And it did this one too. We just haven't added anything to it yet, but you don't see that line there anymore, so you know that the box is all the way down here. Yay! So now it's just a matter of adding the padding and making the text white, stuff that you know how to do. Let me add the padding just to go through the motions. Nav. Now I want to add it to the list items. Remember we talked about it in the last video, and I'm going to say padding Save, reload. Da, da, da. There you go. Now let's do this one. Okay, so what does this one look like? It's not really centered, and if you took this window and you stretched it down, these things would get further and further apart. So what am I using for that? Let's go back here. Remember, we're working with justify content because we turned everything on the side. And so we have a few of them here to choose between. There's space between, space around, space evenly, and there's, you can read about all the differences between these, but I'm going to go with space around because that looks the closest to what I want. And let's see, where am I adding that to though? Oh, right, we got to isolate that one, huh? Now we're working with the footer. And so justify content, justify space around, save, reload. Dun, 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 dun. There you go. So there were a few little tricky parts there. We had to, you probably look, for a lot of you, it didn't look like it worked at first because the UL wasn't the 100% of the height. And that's where turning the borders on really helps, because if you don't know what's going on, it's just this is debugging, the art of debugging. You just go in and you just want to see what's going on, because what you think is going on is obviously not what the browser thinks is going on. So anything you can do to process elimination, turn borders on, change background colors, whatever you can do to just sort of try to gain some more insight into the page. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any other questions. Have a great spring break. Bye.